Welcome to the Manifest Season 3 WonderCon panel. I am Matt Mitovich, the editor-in-chief at tvline.com. And here with us today is Josh Dallas. He plays Ben Stone. Luna Blaise, she plays Olive Stone. Melissa Roxburgh, she plays Michaela Stone Landon. Matt Long plays Zeke Landon. Jared Ramirez, aka Detective Jared Vasquez. Parveen Kaur, she plays Dr. Sanvi Ball. Showrunner and executive producer Jeff Rake. Jack Messina, who plays Cal Stone. Athena Karkanis, who plays Grace Stone. And we've also got Holly Taylor, who plays, well, we'll get to that in a little minute, but you'll recognize her from The Americans, where she played the daughter of Russian super spies. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
I just want to start off asking who's got the best anecdote from filming that final scene in the snowy woods with the frozen lake.
It was so cold.
Now, I assume the lake was fake because it looked like Josh was like lying down on like 3 inches of ice, but it looked like the rest of the snowy woods was pretty cold and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to see the actual lake. It was kind of just a small skating rink, and that was it.
And the big wide shots it was actually a field that was covered with felt, and they digitally added in all the details and made it look really great, I thought.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, Melissa, at the very end there, for Michaela, what was the moral of that frightful story at the end there where Zeke almost died and we had this whole ordeal because Michaela had ignored a calling?
I think that, yeah, she definitely struggled with that because there's the human right thing to do, and then there's, the manifest right thing to do. As far as the bad guys went. And I think the moral of the story was that there are consequences for not following the callings because there's a purpose for each and every calling. So she really, in losing Zeke, kind of came to terms with the fact that that is the right thing to do, is to follow the callings.
Now, Matt, I gotta say, you didn't look good there for much of the season too. The nose situation was pretty bad. Are we to surmise that to beat the death date, you kind of have to go through hell?
I don't know if every character will go through hell, but I think they will have to maybe sacrifice their own self-interest and act with no self-interest, and that's what Zeke did. So we leave season 2 thinking that we have the answer to the way to survive this, but we find out in season 3 that it's not quite that simple.
But you'll be looking healthier and prettier for season 3?
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm supposed to. There's no frostbite.
Josh, remind us of the calling that Ben was having there in the finale and how it relates to the very final scene we had of the tail fin getting found down in Cuba.
Well, the last calling that he has in season 2 is of the plane exploding, and then the tail fin is dredged out of the water. You can assume that those two things are linked in some kind of way. And as we start season 3, you can be pretty sure that Sanvi and Ben are going to be taking a deep dive into what this tail fin is and how on earth it was found at the bottom of the ocean, because we all saw that plane explode on the tarmac in New York. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the passengers? Are the passengers actually the passengers, or are they something else entirely? So it's going to spur on a major investigation into what that is.
Athena, amidst all of this, let's all remember, Grace had a baby, little baby Eden. What sort of questions did that raise by having the baby, being pregnant with a baby, and suspecting the baby at some point maybe was having its own callings?
Well, we still don't know if the baby's going to have callings or not, because the baby is still a baby and not able to communicate if it's having any sort of extraterrestrial experiences. But Grace has stopped having callings, which we learn at the end of the season when she's no longer pregnant. She's not having the callings anymore. So, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that the baby's going to have some kind of abilities because Grace had them while she was pregnant with the baby.
Parveen, I've got 2 words for you. Plastic syringes.
I thought you were gonna say plastic surgery.
Plastic
Okay.
syringes could have saved you a lot of grief there by accidentally
It's-
killing the major.
It's so true.
What was your reaction when you read that scene? Because when I was watching it, I was scared for you.
Yeah, I felt the same, and then I was scared. How am I gonna pull this off? How am I gonna really make this exciting for the fans to see? And yeah, I mean, I was terrified. Felt really bad. I mean, Sanvi's really, we see her crumble a lot in the series. And, you know, that definitely continues going into season 3 as well.
Jack, we were talking about the lake scene before. Was that your first underwater stunt scene?
Yes, it was. And they put me through this like 2-hour scuba session just to like dunk me underwater for like 5 seconds. It was very overprepared, but very safe, I would say.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Luna, so I don't know. Olive fell into a cult. There was the burned down nightclub. She found love with JT, who then left her for Egypt. Am I leaving out anything from her wild season 2?
I mean, no, besides that, definitely, I think a massive ending of season 2 for Olive is that, you know, finding her and TJ do the deep dive on Alzuras and kind of his journey, Alzuras' journey, mirror kind of what's happening to the passengers. Well, exactly what's happening to the passengers, really. So I think that's also a pretty big part of season 2 as well. But yeah, honestly, I think Olive went through it. Which we went through a little thing last season. I can tell you it's not like that this season though. It's very different for her, and she's doing a little bit better.
JR, at the end of season 1, we were wondering who got shot. Was it Jared? Was it Zeke? Was it Michaela? What question should we be wondering now about Jared going into season 3?
Right. Well, I mean, it was season 2 was very different for him. He got to kind of play an undercover role that brought, you know, a lot of hatred towards. I got a lot of hate emails throughout the season. It was really fun sharing it with everyone. Like, you set this up, didn't you? Everyone thought I went to the dark side, and it was actually really fun because I normally, even if I play bad characters, they're always pretty likable. So it was fun to see the other side of it. You know, towards the end of the season, you realize that he was undercover and he was all doing it to protect Michaela as always, and save Zeke. And this season, you'll see him, you know, he got a free promotion at the end of it. So you'll see what that all means. And he's got a big investigation as we start 3 months after. He's got a big investigation into this major's death. So that's going to keep him pretty busy this year.
Cool. Before we wrap up the first half of this session, a little pop quiz. Who remembers who said this line in the finale? So we're supposed to leave a duffel bag of meth under a bench and hope for the best?
Nick.
Oh, God.
So we're supposed to leave a duffel bag of meth under a bench and what? Hope for the best?
I said that.
I remember shooting that
Melissa.
scene, but I couldn't remember which one of you said it.
I thought it was
It was in the
Melissa.
living room, I think.
It was. Well done.
It's a good line.
Josh has said that line so many times just in life, you know, so it didn't really stand out.
More that with Melissa.
Well, now that we've recapped season 2, we're going to fire up a sneak peek from the very opening of the season 3 premiere, and then we're going to dive into what's coming up and find out how Miss Holly Taylor fits into it all. Let's roll that tape.
Es un barco pequeño. Creo que se llama San Antonio.
San Antonio es el patrón de las cosas perdidas. Tiene gracia que sea algo barco que no puede encontrar.
Hace más o menos 3 meses. Hicieron un descubrimiento interesante. Al menos eso creo.
No, lo siento, amigo. Ni idea.
pal. You had that too, didn't you? You okay?
The light was so bright. We were all screaming.
Yeah, scared me too. We'll handle it. I saw your Aunt Mick in there. I wonder if she...
She did.
Let me guess, we all just saw that? Who was that woman? I couldn't make her out.
Me either. Cal? Whoever it is, I'm pretty sure what triggered the calling. Found the boat.
Yes, just like my sketch.
Just like it.
And what was on the boat?
Nothing unusual.
That boat found something, Dad. Something about A28. I know it.
I believe you, bud.
Well, whatever was on that boat, it must have been important. I haven't had a calling that intense in months.
Yeah, agreed. Feels like all three of us have a part to play. As for me, boat's barely tied up. Owners can't be gone too long.
Ben, just be careful, okay? You're in a dangerous place still, even if the callings brought you there.
Will do.
Ben and Cal too.
They're just as floored by it as I am. I mean, they don't know who that woman is. I mean, for a stranger to show up in our heads after all this time in a calling that kicked my ass.
God, I wish I could help. I never thought I'd say I missed the callings, but at least then I could tell you.
No buts. You were alive. And you were here with me. If surviving the death date meant saying goodbye to the callings forever, then sign me up. I mean, sign us all up.
Believe me, I couldn't be more grateful. I didn't think I'd live much beyond our wedding night, let alone get to take the most epic trip in honeymoon history.
I think the universe is telling us to pack it up.
To help this woman?
The callings are a blessing in that they can save our lives, but hell if they are not a curse as well. I can't miss even one. Not if I want to grow old with you.
Oh, you're gonna grow ancient with me.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Me too.
All right, so that's a good sneak peek at the cold open of season 3. Jeff, tell us, what would you say the theme of season 3 is versus the theme of season 2?
Yeah, good question. I would say that season 2 is about understanding and embarking on a path towards redemption, and season 3 is about understanding that redemption is much more interconnected than any of us realize. There's a theme that pervades the whole series. Jack was the first one to say it all the way back in the 5th episode of season 1. He said, "It's all connected," as he kind of stared out the window of the plane and saw the glow. And that idea of interconnectedness continues to play a big part in our storytelling in literal, real ways and in metaphorical, thematic ways. And what the viewers will come to discover in season 3 is that idea of interconnectedness, and that the path to redemption might not just be about the personal choices that we make as individuals, but about the choices that we all make as a community, comes to impact all of our heroes in a very real, profound and important way. And that's probably the main thematic thrust of this upcoming season.
Now, one question that people may have after seeing that sneak peek is, so the discovery of the tail fin didn't immediately become national news, international news?
It takes a hot minute, but by episode 2, that news does break for reasons that I won't spoil on this call, but let's just say Ben has to go to some extreme measures to get himself and some others out of a jam in the premiere, and by the time all is said and done, in the second episode, we come to discover that the whole world will realize what Ben and Cal and Michaela were on to at the top of season 3 premiere, that his tail fin has appeared, that the reappearance makes no sense, and it makes the whole world start to question, as Josh alluded to earlier, start to question who are these people who returned? Are they even people? And what does it mean for this whole phenomenon?
They're a bunch of robots. Not
gonna rule it out.
Not gonna rule it out. Holly Taylor, this is where you tell us absolutely everything about Angelina.
Quite the opposite. I can tell you Angelina is a girl. She's hopefully a human, and you see her screaming in a box somewhere. But she does kind of come and become like an influential character into the Stone family, and we see how especially that theme of everything being connected really is proven true here with the role that she ends up playing.
But Jeff, we're confirming she's an 8-to-8er?
She certainly is, yes. So Holly plays Angelina. Angelina was a passenger on the plane. When we meet her, she's in some really unfortunate circumstances, and Michaela and Zeke set out to try to find it and help her, and then we're off to the races. She becomes a very important part of the Stone family household, and as we dig deeper into the life of Angelina, we start to understand some really interesting aspects of the mythology that hadn't come to relief before. And in the front half of this season, just like in season 2, we build up to a mid-season climax. So last year in season 2, episode 7 was our big kind of mid-episode climax. In season 3, it's episode 6. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I can tell you that every character on the screen is impacted by the events that we build up to at the halfway point. And that's going to turn everything upside down, not just for the season, but it's going to turn everything upside down for the rest of series.
Wow. All right. We like that. We like that. Josh, we got a taste of it in the sneak peek we just saw. Who all gets pulled into this tail fin mystery with Ben?
Well, I mean, everyone's affected, but certainly Ben and Sanvi get into it the deepest. And it's going to be a big driver in the first part of the season for the passengers to figure out what it is.
Athena, one of our readers, Carla, wrote in asking, is the relationship between Ben and Grace going to change after they find out about the tail fin?
Well, everything changes. The tail fin is a really big pivot for the whole story, but I don't think it affects the strength of our relationship. I mean, certainly new challenges are constantly being introduced, but Ben and Grace are very strong in this season. There is something that is going to physically separate them for a while. And so I think I'm allowed to talk about this, Jeff.
Go for it.
Send Grace and the younger kids basically into hiding for some time. So there won't be, there's a chunk of time where there won't be a lot of Ben and Grace scenes except by FaceTime, which seems to mirror the reality that we all find ourselves in. But I mean, as far as I've read, their bond continues to be very strong.
Melissa, talk a little bit about the investigation that Michaela gets involved in with Holly's character.
Yeah, in the first episode, Zeke and Michaela are on their honeymoon thinking they've kind of escaped manifest mysteries for a second, but they're sorely mistaken when callings kind of start affecting all of the characters. and it leads them to discover Angelina, and the screaming is kind of resolved. The screaming that we see her in is kind of resolved in that first episode. And we're able to kind of introduce her character through this calling.
Parveen, would you say, is Sanvi at all a little bit broken after the events involving accidentally killing the major? Did that spook her a bit?
Yes. Yeah, she is for sure. She carries that into season 3. I mean, how could anyone go through something like that and not just be terrified and constantly looking over your shoulder and just waiting for the moment where people find out that you've killed someone, whether it's an accident or, you know, and that energy and that paranoia is gonna, we're gonna see Sanvi in that state a lot in season 3.
JR,
and it is all connected in terms of who is investigating and who, you know, it really is all connected.
Very cool. JR, one of our readers, Christy, asks, any scoop on Jared's new love interest to be played by Lorne Norvell?
No, you know, at the end of the day, maybe or maybe not, you'll see Jared embark with a new lady. But at the end of the day, it's Jared, and we know his track sheet with the women isn't the best. So it's probably not going to last very long. He's a ticking time bomb when it comes to women. So that's what I have for her. She's like, don't get your hopes up, is all I can say.
And how's the promotion working out for him over at the cop shop?
Promotion, he's keeping very busy. I mean, I don't think Jared is ever, while he's in Manifest, he's ever going to be having a day off. You know, the Stone family keeps him very busy, especially this year. They're up to no good. So, I mean, he's full into the investigation of Major's death. You'll see a lot of that towards, you know, the first and second half of the third season.
Athena, tell us a little bit about Grace's half brother that we're going to be missing. Is he friend or foe? Robot?
This was a wonderful treat for me. I got to work with this wonderful actor named Warner Miller, and it was also just really nice, I thought, for us to explore that, like, Grace actually has a family and a side of a family, and so I think it was really nice to just sort of see that other side of her. You get to learn a bit about who she was as a child growing up, and Warner was just a wonderful addition to the cast. You know, we learned why we haven't met him in the first 2 seasons, why, you know, when all these crazy things were happening in her life, nobody from her family came to be like, hey, you had a baby, can I, like, help with the cooking or whatever. Or also, you know, everything, your family disappeared and then they came back. So we learn why they're estranged, and we see them start to rebuild their connection. And I think it was we also shot in this beautiful location, a little bit upstate. So we were in the woods, and it was just a total kind of tonal shift. And I think it was a nice treat. It was just different. And it also ends up tying back into the sort of A story, which in a lot of hair-pulling ways, which obviously I don't want to spoil, but I think viewers will be excited to see those bits.
Luna, we talked about Olive's Pretty Wild season 2. What would you say her focus is for season 3?
I think in season 3, well, without giving a lot away, Angelina and Olive create a very special bond between one another. They become very close. And there's another character that will also be introduced as well. I don't really know if I can say anything about that, but I think this season Olive is a lot more sane than she was last season, and she is, you know, still no callings. She still has no callings, so nothing like that. So I think her main priority is just, you know, still feeling that wanting to be a part of the adventure and the mystery and solving the problem, what she gets from her dad, definitely. And that is also a big thing this season. In season 3 is I think Ben and Olive have some really good moments of just decoding and like finding out more of the mystery. And I think she's a good little asset for trying to solve the problem. And I think she gets a lot done too. She finds out some really cool things.
Jack, Cal has been a bit of a drama magnet for the first 2 seasons. Is season 3 the one where he just kind of like sits and plays Xbox quietly in the background of every scene?
Yes and no. He does get a lot of action towards the end of the season, but not really in the beginning of the season. Since he got kind of scarred from almost losing Zeke, the 3 bad guys that kidnapped him, he kind of wants to like take it, like calm it down with the callings and just live a normal life. Tries to go back to school.
School. Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot
He
about
goes
school.
back to school, and that has its own set of consequences.
All right. Matt Long, TV line reader Pia asks, there's supposed to be some sort of third party living with Michaela and Zeke. Pia wants to know, will this third party put the new marriage in jeopardy?
Not directly, but she does have some insight into some things that Zeke has to process.
All right. All right. Jeff, are we doing anything new and exciting with the callings in season 3?
So the callings continue to evolve from that very first calling back in the pilot episode when it was just a whisper of, Michaela's own voice that she heard in her head, to the loud, visceral, visual callings that we saw in season 2. They'll continue to evolve even further. One of the most significant evolutions in the callings that continues to play in season 3 is they've evolved to the extent that there's often interactivity between 2 different people who might be in a calling together, experience something together, be able to even communicate for a short period of time together while they're coexisting inside a calling. And that ends up being a driver for a lot of story throughout season 3. And ultimately, by the time we get to the end of the season, and to talk more about this would be to spoil things that none of the people on this screen even know about. So I'm not going to talk about it in too great detail. But in the last 2 episodes of the season, there's going to be a 2-parter, and that'll be threaded with a calling that will, let's just call it a homicide investigation inside of a calling that will send Michaela and others on a journey to anyway, very, very, very startling results. But my point being that while the calling in the past in season 1 and season 2 have been kind of blips that we would pop in and pop out of, we incrementally start spending more time and experiencing more and interacting with each other emotionally inside a calling. So there's kind of greater fluidity. They become kind of woven more. There's greater fluidity as they become interwoven more into the fabric of our episodes. Lots of surprises in the callings this season.
What does it mean that a phone rang when you were talking about callings?
What does it mean?
Interesting. All right. Well, that's a wrap for us here at the WonderCon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the panel. And be sure to check out the season 3 premiere of Manifest on Thursday, April 1st at 8/7 Central, only on NBC. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.